All right. Uh, all right. Okay. I can hear myself. So that's good. All right. All right. Getting to learn how this works. Okay. We're back. This is the second Knight Rider episode. If you didn't join us the first time, I should do like a previously on the Knight Rider. I'm attempting to write a role playing game on a live stream here. Last time, in order to do this, I had to create an alibi for myself, and that alibi was a fake toy line that I invented. Said that it came out in the late 70s, and then in the early 80s there was a comic book based on it, and then eventually a Saturday morning cartoon and a edgy 90s comic reboot of it. Built all these layers so that I had excuses to go in different directions with this, again, fake IP. But one of the problems that I discovered since the last time we did it is that the name that I just kind of came up with off the top of my head is an actual toy. It existed. Not only did it exist, but I had some. I just had forgotten what their names are. That was the Star Yours. I actually like them. They're kind of neat designs. I can't remember the exact ones that I had, but worth Googling and taking a look at them. They're fun. Which means that I now have to change the name of this toy line that I'm going to write the role-playing game for. And so I spent some time Googling, trying to find something that didn't have a whole lot of hits and wasn't directly related to a specific intellectual property, which is a certain percentage of an early role-playing game design anyways. You're just always trying to make sure you're avoiding stepping on other people's toes, or at least I find that I am. So I did come up with a name, and we're going to go ahead and make those changes now. So we're not going to have Star Yours anymore. The name I came up with. So, okay. The concept was, for this toy, was that it was little action figures, little dolls that had parts that you could take off and replace with other parts from other toys. It's a pretty common feature. There's a lot of old toys from that era that did it. Micronauts, I don't know if they were like the first to do it. They were the ones that stick in my head. Those were. I didn't have a whole lot of Micronaut toys when I was a kid, but they, like, my cousins that were just slightly older than me had those. So they kind of had that mystique about them. But they're, you can go as far as Lego and whatnot, but there's, like, I think Centurions did it. There's a lot of, and we kind of did it ourselves. You could snap off the arms of He-Man characters and snap them on to other He-Man characters and things like that. So, but the idea was there were these from outer space, warriors from outer space that had these interchangeable arms. And that was the toy. The toy had no real narrative behind it. It had fiction that you can kind of build out of the art, because one of the kind of awesome things about these toys of the era is that they had these great artists doing these amazing works of fantasy and science fiction, and so you can kind of stare at the box art for the toy that you got and just dream about the worlds that you're going to explore with your imagination. It was kind of like the box art for video games around that time too, which was considerably different, or I should say, like the Well, I mean, the box art for video games, but I actually, in my mind, I was thinking of the art that's on the side of the arcade cabinets. But anyways, the point being, I should invent a arcade game for these guys. Well, all right, I'm getting way ahead of myself here. The point being is that the toys themselves didn't have an actual narrative aside from that they're outer space warriors who can change their limbs, exchange them with each other, or what have you, and you could build your own out of the different limbs. And then the comic book adds this narrative that they were of this long ago, part of a space war from long ago, that they got shot off towards other spaceships, and they were meant to like take control of them, but some of them missed the mark, and so they traveled for years. The comic probably said for light years. Well, it would have been true either way. But anyways, through the void, long after their civilization disappeared, and now they're scattered throughout the universe. There are these characters. So I need a name for these characters. They have interchangeable limbs. There are toys from that era called the Interchangeables, I think, or something along those lines. I think they might have been the same toys as the Micronauts, but like after that company stopped making them, someone else started. Well, anyways, I'm not a toy historian here. But the name that I came up with that doesn't seem to be widely used for anything is the Intergalaxians. And let's just go ahead and change those everywhere. Yeah. And let's go change Star-Yor to Intergalaxian as well. You're gonna, again, this is the exciting, thrilling, it should be capitalized, typing experience of a game designer. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Now, let's go ahead and... I should make... Alright, hold on. Gonna do a little bit of a technical thing here. So what I'm doing is just doing some background stuff so that I can save these as, yeah. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Is that what I wanted? So I can do things like tell them that that's how you spell Intergalaxian, and the spell checker will stop trying to change them. All right, so why I like this name, other than Intergalaxian is a fun thing to say, and it sounds like a toy from that era, but I could do something like this. I can do the incredible interchangeable Intergalaxians. I'm gonna put fancy font on this, even though I'm writing in plain text. Doesn't mean I can get away from wanting to do something with fonts. Incredible, interchangeable, intergalaxians. I'll go through, shove all those together. I like having my things, all my text jumbled together. All right, so I've got a name for them. That was part of my homework for this week. The other part of my homework is to find a color scheme. This is weird. When I look at the stream, it's actually, the color scheme is different than what it is actually on my screen. So I don't know how much this is actually going to come through. It doesn't matter. Color schemes don't matter, except that they're fun to play with and put you in the mindset. I can't listen to music that has lyrics when I work, so I play around with color schemes instead. All right, well, that was my homework for the week. Wow, that does look a lot different on the stream. It's very blue, what I'm looking at now. The letters are white, the background's blue. And what I'm seeing on the stream is brown. Oh well, whatever. This is not game design. Time to design some games. So, we got some hooky parts, things. Yeah. I don't know why it's a different color. Oh well. It probably has something to do with the terminal and how it's... Nah. It's beyond me. Although, it's beyond me, but I could try some different things and see what they look like on... Yeah, video stuff is weird. Oh, that looks much closer to what I got on the screen here. So the color scheme might be doing something weird. Okay, we'll go with Space Camp. It seems appropriate anyways. So one of the things that I thought about, I tried to not think about this game during the week because I wanted to like capture the aha moments on screen. But then, of course, the danger is that I could just spend the whole time here not doing anything, just sitting staring at the screen trying to come up with something. But that does lead me to one of the problems that a game designer has to solve, which is what I call Lackawanna. Lackawanna being, I think, a city in New York. I don't know. I used to, when I drive out to visit my family, we used to go through a place with signs for Lackawanna. When we drove out to sell games at Gen Con back in the day, we'd go through there. And it made me think of just this thing that happens sometimes in role-playing games where it can be a lot of fun to design and make characters. You can get really excited about the world, the interesting depths of the world. You can make like a whole lot of backstory for your character, and then you go to sit down to play, and you have this paralyzing creative block because you or it's not even really a creative block. Well, maybe whatever, but you have this moment where you realize that your character just doesn't have a reason to do anything. Nothing. There's nothing in the game that is impelling them to move forward, to make any changes with the world, to try and do anything, to be a protagonist or antagonist or anything. And so I called that Lackawanna. And I actually don't know how it's spelled anywhere. I'm just gonna do that so my spell checker doesn't grab it. So here, it's something that I want to think about right now. In the beginning of this is I've got this set up where you play these space knights of some sort that have these artisan crafted special limbs, So I want to make a list of things. I think I had something approximating this somewhere in things to do. This kind of goes along with that, but like these are like reasons to do the things that you can do, right? Like this is so there's a bunch of different ways to solve that. And I guess what I'm doing now is trying to figure out what's appropriate for this game. Like if we start the game and you're in your space torpedo, you're in your intergalaxian missile, and land on some faraway planet that's in your future even, and it cracks open and you step out, what's going to compel you to do anything in that situation? You're not, there's nothing hunting you immediately, although maybe. So that's a possibility, is that I know. Let me put that at the top of there we go. Hunted by other intergalaxians. Oh, I'm going to misspell that every time. It'll tell me though. Yeah, right, because they could be parts. I'm just gonna spitball here. You could have a code of honor of some sort. Seems like a kind of thing that the 80s comic would do. Something like that. This is, I wonder if this font is big enough. I mean, I'm just gonna, there we go, a little bigger. Right, I can imagine that this far off culture in the past, may have, instead of just sending highly trained killing machines out to hit other spacecraft and take them over or whatever, instead they sent highly trained killing machines that had an ingrained virtue, like leaning into the whole chivalric knight thing, where you, so maybe you have something like that guiding you. It could be compelled by loneliness. Yeah, I mean, like if you want to seek out other intergalaxians, that may not be the case for everyone. And it's not necessarily that we have to have like something to solve this Lackawanna to like the same solution for everyone. But I kind of want to just sort out some, so I don't get started designing this and then sit down and not know what to do when it comes time to play. There could be like a comedic thing too. There's definitely like a fish out of water element here. So just you so Emily, who's watching from the floor below me, says the loneliest thing reminds her a bit of Rom the Space Knight. Rom is a big influence here. If you not familiar with Rom was a toy. I've never had the toy. I don't know anyone who did. I'm not sure if anyone did, but there was a Marvel comic based on it that was just from the 80s, wonderful. That is a big influence because it's these knights that fly around, in space trying to undo wrongs, and Rom gets stranded on Earth and has to fight off his arch nemesis, some alien horde. The dire wraiths keep them from taking over Earth, and that's a possibility actually. You could be last. I've been watching a lot of on the weekends. We've been watching Samurai Jack, which has this great kind of fits a bit into this as well, because here Samurai Jack is thrown into the future to by the evil Aku, and is trying to undo or find a way back into the past to undo Aku, who's done evil throughout the centuries between when he threw him forward or not. So you could have these were maybe the Intergalaxians were the heroes of the tale centuries ago, and then they lost the war against the evil empire, and now they've come back into a new world that is controlled by this empire, and they have to figure out how do they stop that. Yeah, Samurai Jack, such a good show. So that one is really compelling to me, actually. But I don't necessarily want to nail that down. I'm sorry. It's not that I don't necessarily want to nail it down to that. Is that I think that there are a lot of stories that could be told here that don't have to be about that. And well, yeah. So against an old enemy. Lots of umming. Well, we've got a good start. There's about 5 or 6 of them. I'm going to add to these as they occur to me. But I just that was the thing that just before we started up, I was like, oh, I want to make sure. You know what? Just make that a legitimate word. There we go. Oh, I had more of those. Yeah, formatting. That's exciting. That makes for good television. All right. Oh, this is another area that I was thinking about the interchangeables, the parts that you can take off and put on. So all right. It's helpful, I think, to consider this as a realistic toy line, right? We're not going to. I'm not going to model the reality or the physics of the world on some hard sci-fi concept of like what a cybernetic limb would be, or a vat-grown limb or whatever. And instead, I'm going to model it off of the fact that there are toys that you can take the arms and limbs off of. But I wanted to have some sort of internal consistency. So there are some rules to it. And there's 2 reasons why I want to do this. Number one, it's just helpful to have some sort of guideline, some constraints while you give yourself your affordances. So I want to go through here and just kind of plot out exactly what parts can kind of come off of and be put on the different intergalaxians, and that'll help kind of figure out, because I kind of want your stats to be built this way. I have this vision now of the character building almost being like a card drafting game, a little bit like Sushi Go or Seven Wonders, or where you get the cards and then you pass it to the next person, and so you're kind of assembling what your character is at the very beginning. So to do that, like, I'm going to need to know what the different suits of the cards. I said that there were two reasons for this. The second reason for this is that once you make those rules, once we say, like, you have 2 arms and 2 legs and a torso and a heart and a brain, and we're like, that's it, that's what you got. Well, then we could be like, that was what you had in 1978. By 1981, they released, multi-leg characters, or characters that had wings growing off their backs or something. So we can kind of break our own rules and molds as we go along. So let's keep that in mind. So let's think about this. Let's go with the first generation here, right? All right, so right arm is going to be real. I think both legs together is going to be, yeah, I think that's the way. So then you would have, like, maybe somebody has, instead of legs, I shouldn't say both legs together. Well, below torso. What would you? Yeah, lower body. Heart. The reason why I don't want to separate the lower legs is that I want, somebody might have a centaur lower body, like a horse-like lower body, or someone might have a snake-like lower body. I think that there's opportunity there that without having to be like, well, I've got 2 horse legs on the left, and on the right I have a snake. I think the toy probably works a little better if you just take the lower part off and slap another one on. So somebody has like a tank treads, that sort of thing. So the arms are going to be weapons and tools. I don't know if there's going to be a distinction between the right and the left arm. Just that you have an opportunity to grab, one or the other. The torso might not be anything. Let me think about that. Anyway, okay, so there's possibilities here. There's wing attachments. There's power pack, some sort of whatever, like a energy source, or maybe like a jetpack. Put on jetpack. Okay, so there's things you can have attached to your torso. I'll we'll expand on that. That'll be fun. Uh, it's going to be locomotive. Generally speaking, I think that the things that make you move. The heart. Okay, so we're going to get into the philosophical discussion here of what, Theseus's ship, that kind of thing. I think the heart is going to store their values. I think the toy line originally would make distinctions between 2 or 3 different kinds of hearts, and that's how it would be like, here are the good guys and here are the bad guys, because that was the thing about toy lines, is that they have to have that clear delineation. And then later on, the comic plays around with that a little bit. Maybe it doesn't mean that, but values, virtues, I just realized I don't know how to spell foible. Is that? It's not telling me it's misspelled, so there we go. The brain, I feel like, is going to be a I know kung fu kind of matrix sort of thing, where you pick up a brain and suddenly know how to operate a piece of machinery, or so I'm gonna be like skills, knowledge. You know what? Let's throw some sorcery in there. Why not? Not psychic powers, psionic. We don't know what we're doing yet, so that's fun. Alright, so let's write down some notes about character creation. I've been quiet. I apologize. All right, so this is what I said before. We're going to have like a card drafting game where you pass around what are available for interchangeables. Players pick the ones they want and pass them on. We could do something about... might be fun if you could get everyone kind of involved, so you can take, as you're doing this, you can set one card aside in reserve, and you at the end, everyone has to give it to another player. Let's see, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you draw 5. That wouldn't take too terribly long. Yeah, I think that would work. I've never actually built a card drafting game, so now I'm thinking about the mechanics of that and guaranteeing that there are enough parts for all the bodies. Yeah, I, it can be worked out. Maybe you do a few rounds of it. Um, and you can do things like trading cards you don't need for an interchangeable that you do need. So the question is then, will the characters just be the sum of their parts? Uh, will there be like synergies? Um, Obviously, when the toys were sold, they would have come like as pre-assembled characters, maybe with a few alternate limbs and things, but so that you'd be like, oh, that's definitely Starbat, right? And we'll find out that Starbat's an actual character somewhere. But anyways, you'd be like, so is there a bonus for having the full set of Starbat gear, or I mean, that feels like something a video game would definitely do, and there are reasons why video games do that. I'm just trying to think if that would be interesting. Well, maybe what should be done now is a little exploration into what it means to have these. I've not really spent any time thinking about what I'm going to do here. I'm going to have colorful dice. I'm going to have a bunch of dice of different sizes. So let me spitball some of that. Let's go to the end here. All right. All right, we'll call it resolution for now. All right. So I think I might have mentioned last time I don't particularly want to design this in a like Swords Without Master direction where they're tone dice. I think that tone will definitely come into it. I can't get away from it now. I've made it too much a part of how I design. But I do want to kind of point this part of it where the actual die rolling and the resolving of things. I want to point that at, again, the games of my youth. So it is going to be a little bit more. I said I didn't want necessarily a pass fail thing. I think I prefer it to be like, okay, I think this is what I want. Maybe this fits thematically, is that the by default. All right, I should write these down. It's not like I'm going to watch these videos later, so. All right. So, thinking by default, all things are possible if you roll enough points. And so instead of rolling to beat a number, you're rolling and adding to a number, right? So let's think of it this way. Let's say the is a D6, right? So we're gonna start up. Oh, it's not gonna like. We gotta tell it that D6 is a real thing. All right. I'm thinking about this here. So that's okay. fix that in a moment. All right. There we go. Okay, so you roll the die. If you get a 1, something bad happens, but you learn from it. All right, and then probably 2 through 5, just now go ahead and make those. I've gone really quiet. I apologize. I'm just mumbling now. This is the mumbling stage of game design. So what I'm thinking is taking the D6 as a baseline. When you go to do something, you roll a D6. If you roll a 1, then you got something bad happens, and this would, be considered close to a failure in like a more traditional sense. But you learn from it, and so it has this kind of bonus that like you don't get anything good now, but when you try again, you get to double the result. Maybe you get to roll 2 dice. That may get complex. We're still working this out. Otherwise, in the mid range, you get to add as many points as you rolled. And then the 6, I think I mentioned last time that I kind of want this situation where something really sort of wild happens. Like if you have a buzz saw for an arm and you're trying to cut open the hull of a spaceship, a crash landed spaceship that over the years, over the centuries, they've turned into a fortress, a castle on this planet that you're on. I want that roll, that 6, to just do it, but in a way that's like you don't know your own strength. So it's like something bad happens. Wow, it doesn't have to be bad. All right, Joe says, I like the double your roll aspect after 1. It makes me think of the blue shell in Mario Kart. Yes, exactly. And so one of the things that I'm kind of driving to here is that if this pattern here, where a 1, something bad happens, but you get to double your result, and in the highest number you can roll does something over the top, you just manage to do the thing that you need to do, but something wild or something wild happens. We'll figure out the distinctions of those later, obviously. But if this is applied to other dice, for instance, if you put it to a D8, where a 1 now happens, instead of 1 out of every 6 times, it happens 1 out of 8 times. But then the mid-range, the 2 through 7, just gets you the points. But the higher end, it has a higher end, like 7 points is better than 5 points, right? And then the 8 will accomplish what you do, but you don't know your own strength. It's just something over the top. That's less likely to happen than it is with the 6. So the larger the die, the more precise you get, right? Like the more reliable, I should say, the more reliable you get. So big die sizes would be really reliable, but like a D4 would have something bad happen 1 out of every 4 times, but also 1 out of every 4 times, you don't even have to add these points up anymore. You've just automatically succeed in the most wild way possible. So that buzzsaw arm is probably a D4. You don't want to use it all the time. You just want to use it when things get desperate, when you're like, well, we could really use a Hail Mary right now. So I just barfed all that out to you. I have to put it on the page, and I'm trying to, again, find some sort of balance between quietly typing or telling you what's going on. So maybe some of this stuff I'll just put on the page afterwards. Let me jot down some notes here. So, if these limbs are represented by cards, we can put dice in different categories on the cards. So you, again, going down to the buzz, I don't know. I'm going to keep focusing on the buzzsaw because it's in my mind right now. But it could have, the buzzsaw could have a D4 in most things, but maybe a D8 when it comes to cutting through material. I'm wondering. Okay, so if we're going to, okay, all right. This is where the thinking goes faster than the typing, and we'll see if it goes faster than the talking here. Where do I want to put this? Okay, so what I'm thinking is that the cards. All right, you know what? It's time to move on to a new document here. All right, good. So you have a card. The name of the interchangeable. All right, so you got the name of the interchangeable, and then, okay. To sort of model the older style of game, we could have ability scores, and that's the fallback. So ability die. All right, they always come in sixes. Well, we have 6 body parts: arms, arm, torso, head, brain, heart, legs. Oh, got 7. Good. 1 of 7. Abilities. Oh yeah. No scorpion tail attachments. There will be scorpion tail attachments. So like, that's a good point. Hold on. Let's go back to. We don't want to. We don't want to lose out on scorpion tails. Yeah. Does a scorpion tail attach to the lower body or the torso? I'm thinking about how the toy would work. I was thinking about the He-Man one that's Whiplash that has, I think, because they all had the same legs, so it would have been attached to his torso. Well, we can figure that out later. Yeah, that's a good question. Like a scorpion centaur thing. Yeah, let's go with that. That's more wild. Yeah, let's go with the scorpion centaur instead of the tail coming out of his butt. Not because I have a problem with the tail coming out of the butt. I think that it just makes for a more interesting interchangeable toy. Does it? Yes. Because the main feature there is the scorpion tail. Yeah, I'm just going to go with that for now. Okay, so the thought over here is that on your card, you would have like an ability die. We'll have a name for the ability. It'd be like strength and whatever. And I'm like very dismissive of ability scores, but I very desperately want to design in the ability score genre, if you will. Prowess, right? You'd have the prowess one, and that is like what that card will fall back to if the specialty doesn't apply. But the specialty is going to be not at all generalized. Like for the buzzsaw, it would be cutting through material, like cutting through solid material is what the specialty die is for the buzzsaw. That might be and then maybe like one more that's like if you're out of your element and you're using it, right? So something like like if your ability die doesn't apply, if your specialty die doesn't apply and your ability die, there'd be like a fallback die, which will probably be bad in most cases. Yes, it's the Donnie die if you're out of your element. That's good. Does prowess come from interchangeable weapons? Yes. So, or from a interchangeable of some sort. So your prowess might come from your scorpion, centaur, bottom. Your prowess might come from your glowing interchangeable brain. It may come from your interchangeable heart. I think probably the different. I might link the abilities to the different. Like your right arm is always this ability and your left arm is always this ability, except for like some exceptions. But I don't, because I want to kind of cover all of the abilities so that everyone has something that they can fall back on. but I don't have a clear idea of what the actual abilities are going to be. So I don't know. So don't hold me to that. All of this, I may be on another document here, but they all fall under the litany of lies. These are all lies until we make them real. Still, so. Speaking of which, I wanted to just quick change this here to. Yeah. I thought it would take much longer to go from comic book to Saturday morning cartoon, but actually that turnaround is usually like a matter of a year or two. It happened pretty fast. Where are we? How are we doing on time? I think we're coming up on the hour point, so I'm probably gonna have to call it soon. But this gives me some stuff to think on. So all right. So I'm gonna think about like homework that I want to do now, because I tried this past week to not think about this game and then see what I can kind of come up with while I'm sitting here. But now we're starting to get into a part where that's not feasible. I'm not going to not think about it. It's going to be in my brain. So I want to kind of focus that. So maybe what I'm going to try and do for next time is build out a little bit more of what I'm thinking about with this character creation card mechanic thing, and kind of give like a little mock-up of what these cards are going to be like. Yeah. And then and one thing, so this is like I'm going to have a link as I finish these things. I'm going to put these up on GitHub. I'm trying to figure out how Git and GitHub work, and so this is giving me an excuse to use it with some regularity. So I think the link should be, well, maybe not in this video, but the previous video has the link to it. And once this video goes on the, I guess the video on demand section, or when I put this up on YouTube, or now, if you're watching this on YouTube, and not live, you should be able to see the link below, and it will tell you how to get to the GitHub. And I'll just keep updating that as I'm doing things, so you can see what's happening. I think I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna be back next week, but I'm now gonna sort of like open the floodgates. So feel free to like ask me questions about it, and we could talk about it online on Twitter. Oh, here we go. This is where I'm supposed to tell you all about how you can find me, and tell you that you should like and subscribe. And I'm Epidiah, Epidih on Twitter. That's one place to find me. And you can find my Sword and Sorcery magazine at worldswithoutmaster.com. That's worlds plural, master singular. That link should be below as well, or maybe it's not below on YouTube. I don't know. I haven't. I will try and make it below. And like I said, the GitHub link will be there. And yeah, I'm gonna. Oh yes, I should mention Dread. I just recently wrote an official Judge Dredd role-playing game using the Dredd system that the official Judge Dredd folks, Rebellion, have published, and it's available out there. I actually don't know what the link is, but if you Google Dredd, DREAD, Dredd, DREDD, you can find it. You can go and pick it up. That's the most recent of my designs, so you can kind of see where I'm coming from. I feel like right now I'm just talking to a bunch of people who already know me and know this stuff, but this stuff is going to be around for a while. So, all right, I've babbled quite a bit. Thank you for joining me. This has been a lot of fun. I honestly had no idea what I was going to do going into it, and I'm excited about this current result. I should head back up. I'm really excited about this bit here the incredible interchangeable intergalaxians. Yeah, if you get a chance, join me again next week and have fun. We'll talk to you later. Now, it's the awkward time where I figure out how to stop my stream, and I'm doing it live. Oh, I found it. Bye.